Another day, another Pastor Bob's coffee break coming right up. Some good stuff, great coffee. I'm having the hardcore blend. If you don't like hardcore, if dark coffee is a little too much for you, we have the melodic, a little softer, a little lighter. Both of those, plus all of our other blends. The blends and the bling, right here. We are metallearfamily.com. Well, the question for today is a good one. Hey, Pastor Bob, something has been bothering me a lot. My friend says he's a gay Christian. What do I do? Doesn't the Bible go against being gay? Well, first of all, using any other word with Christian isn't exactly biblical unless it's I'm a saved Christian, I'm a born-again Christian, I am a redeemed Christian, I'm a sanctified Christian. All of those speak of what Jesus has done in my life. To identify myself by my sin is not exactly a good way to identify with the word Christian. Saved is the best one, isn't it? But Christian, I'm a Christian. I belong to Jesus Christ. So think of all the things that the Bible speaks about as being a sin. And we just pick a few out and we say, okay, these are the worst ones. These are the ones we hate the most. And in fact, these are the ones that if you are this, you can't be a Christian. Not biblical, but it's the way people feel. And is there a difference in the eyes of God between heterosexual sin and gay sin? I've had people ask me this question before, and one time in particular that I remember, the guy said, you can't be gay and be a Christian. And I said, okay, but you're sleeping with your girlfriend. Can you be involved with heterosexual sin and be a Christian? And he thought, yeah, you can, because it's not as bad. See where I'm going here? So both are committed outside of marriage. Sin that is committed outside of marriage. Now, the verdict is out. And folks, I can't argue with this because I don't think anybody has quite the answers. Are you born a homosexual? Do you acquire it over some period of time? What exactly makes a person gay? And then I've had all kinds of people that say, well, I've tried the therapy. I've tried, getting rid of my sexuality. And then, one day as I was kind of feeling very smug about, I'm not gay and you shouldn't be either, somebody said, Pastor Bob, you telling me not to be gay is like me telling you not to be heterosexual. Yeah. Because it's not going to happen. And I get that. So what about this? Well, I always tell my gay friends, and this is my opinion, okay? But it's my opinion with what I feel like I'm gleaning from the truth, from the word, is that gay sin is when you engage in homosexual activity with another person. Heterosexual sin is when you engage with sexual activity with another person who isn't your wife or your husband. And I always tell my gay friends that they have the same rules that I do. I'm not married. So sexuality with another person is out of the question, male or female. And people aren't happy with that answer, but I feel like it's probably the most biblical. Again, it's my opinion. But I think, folks, a lot of people feel like their world is going to come to an end if they're not sexually active. I am 70 years old as I'm making this video, and I'm still a virgin, and I didn't die from it. I'm just saying. I have had a happy life. I really have. I have loved people like crazy. I don't feel like I've missed out on that. And family, I have thousands of people in my family. I have really enjoyed being a father in this movement. I've really enjoyed it because it is my family, it's my heart. And so I feel like I'm totally fulfilled. And when people think, well, how can you say that to people, not to express their sexuality and love? There's tons of ways to do that. And I feel like I am very complete with what God has given me and the provisions that I have. But you know, we pick out certain sins and we say this one is worse than this one and that one is worse than the other. The Bible talks about these days, by the way, 2 Timothy 3, and starting with verse 1. And it says, but understand this, that in the last days, and by the way, the last days are the last 2,000 years. Yeah. The last days are the days after Jesus rose from the dead and ascended into heaven, and these are the last days. Now, some people say that we're in the last days of the last days, and I don't think we can quite prove that. But we are in the last days, this period. So in the last days, dangerous times of great stress and trouble will come. Difficult days that'll be hard to bear. You say, well, that's definitely today then. Well, I'm sure people felt that way under Mussolini, under Hitler, under, Genghis Khan, fill in the blank. There have been in the last 2,000 years a lot of empires that have toppled. The Roman Empire was a huge one. And, they used to light Christians on fire just to light their garden at night. Things like that. Huge atrocities. So during these 2,000 years, there have been a lot of atrocities. For people will be lovers of self, narcissistic. Man, we're surrounded by a lot of narcissists these days. It seems like. I'm going to do a whole series on narcissism because I think it's a problem, big problem in the church. Narcissistic, self-focused. Man, totally true today. Lovers of money, impelled by greed, boastful, arrogant, revilers or revelers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, profane, and they will be unloving, devoid of human affection, calloused, inhumane, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, devoid of self-control, intemperate, immoral, brutal, haters of the good, traitors, reckless, conceited, lovers of sensual pleasure rather than lovers of God. Holding to a form of outward godliness, or what we call religion, although they have denied its power, for their conduct nullifies their claim of faith. Avoid such people and keep far away from them. So there's a list. Where are you at on that list? I find myself in quite a few of these. And it's not one of those things where I can cherry pick certain sins and say this one's worse than this one. And the reason that this one's worse than this one is because, well, I don't have that sin, so it's worse than mine. One of the things that it says is conceited. Yeah. Thinking more of ourselves than we ought to. You know, the list is an interesting one, but folks, this is the point. You know, how do I feel about it? How do I treat people? Well, Christ said to love everyone unconditionally. What does unconditional mean? It means that no matter what you may be struggling with, no matter what kinds of things are going on in your life, I'm going to love you, no matter what, no matter what. Homosexuals? Yes. I have friends who are homosexuals. I love them to death. Can they be Christians? My friends who are homosexuals actually are Christians. Are they practicing homosexuals? Not as far as I know. No, they've chosen not to be. So how do I feel about that? Well, I have to tell you, I have changed my mind on some of this. Because I used to be kind of a little bit militant about this, that people can't be gay and they need to change and they need to pray that God would change. And I even used to send people to a ministry that specialized in, helping people change, to transform. And then they found out that the people that were running the ministry were still gay. And they were just trying not to be, but it wasn't working. So I've gone the whole circle. And all I can do is say, I don't know what you're struggling with. I don't know what you're dealing with. I really don't know. And I don't know what you're struggling with today. And you may have some deep, dark struggles that you'd never tell anybody about that you're going through. And yet, God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And because he loves us so much, folks, he tells us to agape each other. Can there be a Christian, gay Christian? Well, I don't think I would use the term gay and Christian alike. I don't think I would use the word conceited Christian, or the word godless Christian, or reckless Christian, or hater Christian, or whatever. These don't go with Christian. Christian is what God does. Through my difficulties, he is my Lord and Savior. All right. Well, I don't want to labor the point too much, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. And I'm sure we'll have some controversy on this one. There are people that feel very strongly, but I hope you'll take into account what we've just talked about. And folks, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.